Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Bourbon Basement. I'm Ryan,
And I'm Steve.
and we apologize for the delay. Hopefully, producer, we're definitely going to have to angle our camera a little bit here.
And I guess our mic's working, right?
Should be working. Everything should be okay. We are back to our other camera setup because the other camera did not do exactly what we wanted. That's good right there. Perfect. Thank you. So we're back to our other camera. Hopefully everything looks and sounds okay. Of course, we haven't done anything to the audio, so that should be good. But we do apologize for being a little bit late. Father didn't plan his day out quite right getting back from his trip that he took earlier, but we are here. Hopefully, you all have bared with us and are tuning in now. Hopefully, everyone got the announcement, and we will continue with the show as normal just a little bit later.
I do apologize, but I was researching for the show. Researching for the show. The producer and I, we went on a couple bourbon tours today, and
It was in person. It was active research,
very, very active.
not web research. It was active research.
Very active, and that's what kind of led to the show today. I had something set up previously. I've been in here kind of scrambling to get it kind of off the bar and put this on. Uh, But the other show was just for a video, part of our series that we've been doing. This one here is our live show. So, uh, I guess we're going to talk about Blade and Bow, but I'm going to talk about Rabbit Hole a little bit because that's the one we did first. Now, have you ever had Rabbit Hole?
Yeah, we did a show on, or we did a, I think it was a short on Rabbit
We
Hole.
did a short on
Yeah.
Rabbit Hole. Okay, well
I don't remember
we'll
which
have to
one. We
do a
had two at one point, and I don't remember which one I had.
well. We've got like three now. We've got the Derringer, the I don't even know how to pronounce some of them, but I learned a little bit. So, Rabbit Hole is a pretty cool distillery. This is what I picked up today at Rabbit Hole. I don't know if you can see it there.
I'm telling you what, you can see it a lot better than the other camera we had.
I think so. It ain't as blurry.
Oh, here.
Uh, this is Velarde, I guess, is how you pronounce it. Rabbit Hole Velarde. It's the Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey finished in Oloroso cask.
Do you want to move that and we'll let
I
people
can't.
see
Yeah,
this?
I mean it's just the Derringer and the Cave Hill and the. How do you say that last one?
Haggled.
Eagled?
I don't know.
Eagled?
Haggled.
So these are the little bottles of Rabbit Hole that I've had. Uh, we started out
We got one that's
trying
tipped over.
a malt from Rabbit Hole, didn't we, Ryan?
Yeah,
It
something
was
like
like
that.
a malted bourbon, and wasn't the biggest fan, so it kind of put me in a bad space for Rabbit Hole. But the more Rabbit Hole that I've tried, the better I've liked it.
The
This is
first
the
one I tried, I wasn't the biggest fan. It
I
was a
think that
good
was the
drink.
malt.
It was a good drink, but it wasn't my favorite.
And I think that's why I haven't really been pursuing Rabbit Hole a whole lot. But we went to the distillery tour today in Louisville there, and Rabbit Hole was one of those that we hadn't been to. We'd been to several of them there. So this one is a cool place if you haven't been. This is the only bottle there that I seen that was interesting that I didn't have. They do have like the artisan series. If you see the Rabbit Hole bottles with the artwork on them, those are kind of cool. Thought those were kind of just collector bottles, but I was wrong. Those are single barrels of what you just saw there. So they had single barrel Cave Hill, single barrel High Gold,
Haggled.
High Gold, and single barrel Derringer, and those are in those artisan series.
Sorry if I butcher your name. Hajar over on Twitch. Appreciate you tuning in. Hello to you as well.
Hello, hello. So, uh, yes, my producer just informed me in those the paintings that are on the bottle, the artwork that is on the bottles, those are landmarks there in Louisville that they've painted. So it's kind of cool. Not the landmarks that I see, the big, you know,
The Louisville Slugger
the
stuff.
Louisville Slugger and the nude statue right downtown and the Yum Center
Of
and
course, that's one of the first things I noticed.
but all that kind of stuff. But well, this one's I'm kind of interested in trying this. I don't even know what Orloso. I don't even know what that is. It's some kind of barrel.
Maybe it's better left unknown.
I don't know. I'm wondering what the flavor is. But another interesting fact about this bottle I got is the red winter wheat.
Red Winter Wheat.
The red winter wheat. Now, Rabbit Hole, they take you through a little bit of history, but it's a brief history because they're a brief bourbon. They don't have
Short and sweet.
Was it 2012 that they started, and 16 was when they released their first bottle?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was what he said. And the owner of Rabbit Hole, they come from Iran, and so I thought the funniest story that I heard was, he told his wife, he said, "Hey," he was a psychologist or something, a
Oh gosh.
psychiatrist, and he said, "Hey, I'm gonna pick up the family," and they had like three little kids. He said, "I'm gonna pick them all up. We're gonna move to Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm gonna start doing some bourbon." He's
Whatever.
my kind of guy. But that woman took a leap with him, and she said, "I think you're sending us kind of down a rabbit hole," and that kind of
And
that's
look
how
at it
the name
now.
of this stuff. I know they're pretty successful, but love to hear the
If you haven't learned anything
stories.
from that, jump in and take the risk. Go bankrupt, build your way back up. It's okay. Just
Well,
take
it
that
it
risk.
succeeded, so that was a good risk to take. He was a highly educated man. I guess he knew what he was doing, but
If you have any doubts about what's going on right now, just do it.
pretty cool, pretty good stories. That's the thing about the distilleries when you go on these tours. If you all haven't done that, try a couple. If you have any local, try some of those.
Highly
If
recommend
you're
Woodford.
going to come to Kentucky, you want to go to Bardstown or Louisville, there's several distilleries there you can try. uh, and several awesome distilleries to look at. And you get to learn a little bit of histories, but not only that. Kind of the best thing about it is you get to try these bourbons. You get to try a bunch of different
Including
bourbons.
most.
They all have bars there too, so you can try some of their other bourbons that aren't in the tasting. But what was our special one? Do you remember? It
The
was a
Bourbon
it
Basement
was a
does not,
rye.
however, condone drinking and driving. Don't do it.
No, no, you don't get enough to get like that. But chill out for about an hour after you're done drinking. Drink some water and
Well,
chill out around
you
the
mentioned the
distillery.
bar.
Oh yeah,
Don't be getting litty at the bar and then trying to drive yourself home from a distillery tour.
litty.
Litty.
All right. Uh, so sorry I'm late. It was all research, every bit of it. But now so what we're going to do today is Blade and Bow, and the distillery that we toured. I don't know a whole lot about Blade and Bow. I didn't know a whole lot about Rabbit Hole, so this was very educational to me. But
As you can see, we've had this though. We have drank this. I think I've drank most of it actually,
this was a Costco special. Picked it up, never had it. It's Kentucky bourbon. I wanted to try it, so that's why it's here.
and it's got a key.
And there's a story behind the keys too. So it's produced by Stitzel Weller.
Stitzel.
Stitzel Weller Distillery.
What a name.
Well, and it's historic, very historic place. The grounds on this place are beautiful. And when you go in there, it's like taking a step back in history, ain't it, babe? I'm sorry, producer, ain't it?
Whoa! The secret's out now.
Uh, So when you go in there, I mean, just looking at the rick houses that they have, and our tour guide that we had was awesome. Uh, but just learning about the history that was there. Now, what's going to shock you
Oh.
probably is, did you know who Julian Van Winkle is, correct? El Papo, El Pappy, Pappy, Pap. He was Julian. He was Julian Van Winkle when he started with Weller uh, at 19 years old. And so I'll just start with Weller. It's going to kind of go backwards, but I'm trying to remember this. If I struggle through this, it's all because no studying,
We
no
don't have a
notes.
cheat sheet in the
It's all
background,
just listening from today. So,
and his memory
but
has
anyway,
been going.
Weller, and we all know who Weller is. Weller's very popular. Do I have any open back here?
No.
No, all my Wellers are either empty or on the shelf over here.
I think your last one was 12, and you finished it up a couple weeks ago.
So when you see Stitzel Weller and the name Weller in a distillery, you might think that there's the last one we finished, right? Yeah.
Weller.
All right.
Y'all
So
seen it.
you might think that that is the Stitzel Weller product. Weller bourbon. Well, it's not now. So Buffalo Trace has that now, or Sazerac, I guess, is who has it, but it's produced there at Buffalo Trace. But there's a story behind all that too. But Weller, him and his two sons come to Louisville, and they started. I think they were native to Kentucky anyway. They just opened a distillery in Louisville, or no, I'm sorry, they opened a rectifying place in Louisville, and think back in Maker's Mark and episodes and stuff like that, some of our earlier episodes, we talked about rectifiers, where you had good rectifiers and you had bad rectifiers.
If you haven't watched those episodes, the quality is not as good, but I suggest that you do go back and watch it to see how far we've come. And it's still good videos.
Well, if you know what rectifiers were, they took barrels of bourbon and they sold them basically. And some of the bad rectifiers did a lot of bad stuff to young whiskey to make it look old. So all that kind of inspired a
That's
lot
when,
of Bond
that's when
Act,
we talked about the backy spit.
backy spit in there,
Backy
rusty
spit.
nails, backy spit, all that kind of stuff. And it's true. And it was mentioned in the tour again today. But the Wellers were good rectifiers. And they were known to be good rectifiers and known to put out a good product. So they were very successful with what they did. Well, then you had well, then that's where Pappy comes in. Pappy ended up working for Weller when he was 19. And what Pappy or Julian Van Winkle did was he went around, he rolled his barrel, got to a horse and cart, got to a car, got to a plane, and but he sold bourbons. He sold barrels of bourbon. So that's what Julian Van Winkle did. Anyway,
Julian.
uh so Stitzel, on the other hand, a little less known. The Stitzels, they come from Germany.
I don't know
And
how you could be less known with a name like that.
what so what does Germany drink? Do they drink a lot of bourbon or whiskeys, or what do you think of when you say Germany and drinks?
No, Russia's vodka.
Germany, when I mean the first thing I think of is beer. They like their beer, and I think their drinking age is very, very young for beer for Germany. So, and I
Germany's
don't know.
not Guinness, is it? That's more of a UK thing, I
You
think.
know, I don't know, but Germany is known for beer, a lot of
Uh,
beer,
like
and
lagers.
drinking at young age. So, but anyway, the Stitzel, he also had two sons, and he moved to Louisville, Kentucky, and he was going to open a distillery right there in between, like where Old Forester is, like right next door to Old Forester, there on Main Street. Wasn't Old Forester back then. That's just where he was. So if you go to downtown Louisville and you find Old Forester, the building next to it, that used to be the Stitzel distillery. So he distilled alcohol. The Wellers sold alcohol. All right, and all that happened way before Prohibition, and then stuff like Prohibition starts coming along, and plans change. So when they changed, the Wellers wanted out. I think the father died and the sons had it, and they wanted out. Well, Julian Van Winkle says, "Hey, I still want to continue this." So he kind of purchases uh, the Weller brand. All right. He purchases that Weller brand. Well, then they start getting with Stitzel, and they're like, hey, you produce it, we'll sell it. You produce it, we'll sell it. And then after Prohibition and everything that happened, so of course alcohol went down, then Prohibition, then after Prohibition, they decided to merge. So then there was a Stitzel Weller distillery. Okay, so that's the kind of the long story of that. But it was cool. I mean, just to hear about the people that worked there. I mean, Pappy Van Winkle. I didn't know what he did. Uh, so then they had during Prohibition. I can tell you about. I guess I can tell you about like this because Prohibition they had a lot of bourbon laying around, right? Uh, there was 10 municipal licenses for bourbon, medicinal, medicinal license for bourbon, and only six were sold. So people missed out. Well, they didn't get one, did they? They did get one. They took one of those. So they had a bunch of bourbon in the thing. They got to produce a little bit more bourbon there later in Prohibition because they said they were going to run out and couldn't make medicine anymore. And so they were ahead of the curve. So that's kind of how Pappy and all them probably got a whole lot popular. Uh, but then you had the downfall of bourbon and the light spirits coming, and this is after the Vietnam War, right around the time of Vietnam War. Uh, Nobody wanted the brown liquor. I'm sorry, World War II. Yes, World War II. I'm sorry.
I was about to say, I think
I'm a little late in my dates, right?
a little
Yeah.
bit. I think
So
Vietnam was well after that.
World War II. hippie revolution. Is that when it was? So I don't know. Anyway, they were kind of behind the push for the lighter spirits, and bourbon took a downfall hard on the industry. Of course, Julian Van Winkle was successful because he went overseas. A lot of people went overseas, and they started selling their product overseas. Uh, but they had all this bourbon that they couldn't get rid of, and the story at the Stitzel Weller Distillery, uh, back then they were trying to stay afloat. So they tried to sell their bourbon, a barrel of bourbon, for $200 a barrel.
That's a lot of money back then.
It wasn't that much compared to, yeah, I mean, if you probably, I don't know how much the inflation is, but I'd say it was less than today's equivalent to $1,000 a barrel. They wanted $200, and not one single barrel sold.
Mm.
So they looked for other ways to make ends meet, and that was selling off the brands. So they sold the Weller brand, they sold the Pappy brand, they sold all that all that brand was sold off. So that's how Sazerac and all them got that. Actually helps the Weller stay afloat. But it was pretty interesting. Now, one of the some of the other interesting things, the bottle. They each have a key, and the story behind the key is way back when. Uh, the front door there has a key holder, and there's 5 keys on the front door. Right? Is it off? There's 5 keys on the front door. Yeah, and 5 keys on the label. But what that represents is when the owners of the distillery, when they were open, he would come, he'd take his keys, he'd unlock the buildings, and then he'd hang his keys on a ring on the front door. So those 5 keys hang down there, and that meant they were open for business. And that's how you knew if the keys weren't there, they were closed. If the keys were there, they were open. So that's kind of it.
Simpler times.
Yeah. So this key, uh, each bottle has a numbered key, so they're kind of getting into that crafty thing like Blanton's does.
The different bottle toppers.
Yeah. So this one here has there's 5 keys, there's 5 numbers. I got number 4 on this bottle. But when you collect all 5, you got to take a picture. You send it to Stitzel Weller, and they give you this a gold julep cup that is engraved with all the keys, and it's yours. So you can just go in there and pick it up. You take
Collect your
pictures,
keys,
send it
folks.
to them. We saw a guy at the gift shop today go in there, and he come in for all. They said, "Oh, you here for the tour?" And he said, "No, I'm here for my cup." And that was that was what he was there for, is to pick up his cup. But they have shelves and shelves and shelves of those cups that have not been collected because they aren't allowed to ship them to certain states. So
Mm.
there's states where people have got them, they've done it, and they can't ship them. So
Well, imagine making a
they're
cross
sitting there,
country trip for a cup.
they're sitting there waiting for them to come get them. If they ever do, they got it. Well, can you imagine? Like, okay, so I guess there was over 5,000 at least, right? Maybe more. So let's just make a number, 5 to 20,000 on all these shelves. Can you imagine the guy that comes in and says, "Hey, I'm here for my cup," and they said, "Oh, okay, when was it?" And he's like, 1999 is when I did it," and they're like, "I don't even know if it was a thing back then," but they have to go back and they have to find his cup out of all those cups. I don't know how they gonna do it.
What's it? What's that big library called at the Smithsonian Museum? It's like trying to find one of the books in that huge library. Or is it at? No, that's in Washington. The library I'm thinking about. I think.
I don't know. The only
I don't
the
know.
only like museum I know is the one where the national or the guy, the movie with the monkey.
Oh, not at the museum. Something like that. That's in New. That's in New York, I
The
think.
monkey one, that's the best one.
Anyway, that's off subject.
What the whole kind of thing is, well, I don't know. I wish the tour guide was here so he could tell those stories because he did such an incredible job. But going into the old house right there, that was it was it's like walking back in time. Of course, it's you're walking into their gift shop. They have cool items like every bourbon gift shop does. But then you can kind of just explore the house, and they had pictures and photographs, I mean like real ones, of Julian Van Winkle and Stitzel and Weller and all this other stuff that is just hanging on their walls, and you can look at all the different kind of bourbons that they made, and it's just pretty.
Don't give too much away. There's some people out there that might want to do this.
Oh well, don't check TikTok later because I'm gonna put it all on there and make a little Stitzel Weller thing for TikTok. Anyway, but I thought it was cool. Enjoyed myself. Tasted some great bourbons. Passed up an opportunity. Do you know that they make a Blade and Bow 22? 22-year-old Blade and Bow.
I think that would be the oldest one that we would have had.
22 years.
Okay, we understand that.
I think I could have bought that bottle today for $900 and some dollars. I don't know if I don't even know. I mean, that's at the distillery, so I guess that's the lowest price you're going to get on it. Or $150 a shot. I didn't do it.
The
I wanted to though, but I didn't.
math ain't mathin'. $900 for the bottle or an ounce and a half pour for 150.
I don't even know if it's an ounce and a half pour. Well, that's how you make money on your bottles. Every bartender knows that.
But if they're selling the whole thing for
I
900,
just thought of some other cool stuff I was going to mention on the Stitzelweller, and now I forgot it again. But
here we go.
I know. But so the 22-year-old aged bourbon. So Stitzelweller, the distillery we visited today, the Stitzelweller Distillery, it is not running anymore. The big distillery part of that, it closed in 1992, and so it's pretty cool because not that it's closed, but they're distilling.
It's awesome.
Well, they're distilling the bourbon somewhere else. I mean, they're in cahoots with Bullet Bourbon and I.W. Harper. So they're distilling the bourbon somewhere else. This is actually like a micro distillery now because they make one barrel a day.
Kind of like Evan Williams.
It's kind of like that just for the kind of show. But like those distilleries like downtown Louisville that make one barrel, you get to see that whole process. They kind of take you to that. They're distilling it somewhere else, just like Stitzelweller, but they don't have the historical part of it. You can't go out and see all this stuff. But at this distillery, that's where all the rick houses are, and that's where the barrels come back to and are aged. That's where the Bullet comes in his age. That's where I.W. Harper is aged. That's where Blade and Bow is aged, and they age them all there. But so you get to go and you get to see all that history. Boom, 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 boom. Ode, and then they got this little microbrewery that's a little bit more modern, but they only make one barrel, and they're trying like different recipes. They're trying things, and then there's a special warehouse that they put those one barrels in, so they can see if it's something they like. Uh, they do have a master distiller there, and he's working on that one barrel, so it's still a cool process. And before you even get to the little micro distillery, you see all the historical things that they pulled out of. Like the buildings aren't condemned, but they won't let you go in them because of asbestos. So they pulled the 48-foot copper steel out of their original distillery, 48-foot copper steel out of the original distillery. They took one section because it wouldn't fit in another building. They took one section of it and put in there, so it's there to see. They've got like all the mechanical things that they used back in the daggone 1800s or early 1900s that are in this building, kind of like a museum when they distilled all their bourbon. Uh, One of my favorite tours for the history part. If you're a history buff and a history buff on bourbon, the Stitzelweller tour is for you. Yeah, the grounds are beautiful. The history there is beautiful. The story's beautiful. Uh, it was a pretty fantastic time, and I do love the history of that. So, and I'm already. This is like one of my favorite bourbons now, and I haven't even drank it yet. No, just joking. We'll give it an honest rating.
I'm
Uh,
glad they had a fun day. I was at work.
but you want to get pouring some bourbon? I don't know how long I've talked. It may be too long, maybe too short.
Almost 25 minutes.
Well, let's get pouring. Let's get pouring. If I think of more stuff, I'll fill y'all in here in a little bit.
If you all haven't already poured yourself a drink, that,
Sorry,
uh,
guys. History, it just gets to me.
getting through that, we invite you now if you have some Blade and Bow sitting around the house, or Rabbit Hole, or J.W.
I.W.
Harper,
Harper,
or I said J.W. I.W. Harper, or
Bullet.
Bullet, any of them. Uh, Go ahead and get you a glass, get you your, or just your favorite bourbon on the shelf. It's Friday, long weekend, happy early Memorial Day, everyone.
Well, this may be a bottle dump, and if we don't dump it on camera, it'll definitely
It'll
be
be dumped
finished.
later.
It'll be finished after camera.
I don't think it's quite going to be a dump, but not on
There's
camera anyway.
it'll be after camera dump. All right. So don't forget to collect all your keys, send them
Collect your
in,
keys.
get a cool cup, especially if you're here in
It better be
Kentucky.
a cool cup for me.
It is kind of a cool cup.
Wait, so what's the price of this?
I thought that was like 45 $48 at Costco. At the distillery, I just saw them for $55. I didn't buy one because I thought I could get it cheaper somewhere else, and that's unusual because the distillery is usually
We've only
the
seen that a
cheapest.
couple times before.
Oh, the other one that is made are orphan barrels. The orphan barrels. And that was barrels. If you all know the orphan barrel product, those are products that are very old, usually very old. 16 to 26 years, I think, on some of those bourbons. Well, what that is back in 94 when that thing shut down, these barrels got stored. They were just sitting there aging. All these barrels started aging and everything. And of course, they were aging before 94, but they didn't have
Here
they
here
they
we
did
go.
they didn't have a stamp on them to say whether they were what they were. Were they Weller? Were they Van Winkle? Were they whatever? So they didn't have the stamp on them. So they didn't really know what they had in the barrel. So they sold that, and the people that bought that called it orphan barrels because they were lost little things. They didn't have nowhere to go. So they took the orphan barrels and made something of it. And now their bourbon is orphan barrel.
Wow,
Is that not cool? So now you'll learn that again in the history whenever we do orphan barrel.
orphan barrels.
In my tasting, this was my favorite one.
Just a small batch.
It was well. This was my favorite one. We didn't.
This is the small batch, by the way. But the reason I asked the price, talking about that cup, you're paying. Just say you go to the distillery and get this, you're paying $55 per bottle for this. That's an expensive cup.
Well, I mean, a Buffalo Trace. If you get all the horses, they give you a stave.
That's cool.
It's cool, but so is the cup if you like cups.
What do they give you if you get all the Blanton's Golds letters?
They give you a hand.
Thanks for your money. Thank you so much for supporting our distillery single-handedly.
Well,
Oh yeah, what's the proof of this one?
I think
Thank you
it's
for that question.
90 proof.
I think this one's kind of light.
What is it? 91?
This one, 91. Yeah, this one's a little on the lighter side.
90, 91 proof. It's just they do a small batch. They do. He said 5 barrels is what goes in this.
All right, pause. We always got to go to this screen.
Uh, I think these are. I think he said it was a 5 barrel batch is what goes into the Blade and Bow, and the youngest one is 6 years. I'm sorry, I don't know what she's saying.
Around the bottom, something.
Oh, yeah, this is the keys and what they mean.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what they mean. But the lowest bottle that goes in this is, or the youngest bottle that goes in this is 6 years up. So they do 5 barrels. They mix 6-year-old, whatever, up to 22-year-old bourbon. He said you might have some 22-year-old bourbon in these 6-year-old bottles,
I think I smell 22 years.
whatever they can to get their taste the way they want it. But so I asked why they didn't put an age statement on there, and they said because the span of the bourbons are so far apart
How
that
can you?
you'd have to list it as a 6-year-old bourbon, even though it may have 12, 15, 20-year barrels in there. So, uh,
That could be said for any bourbon, though.
exactly. But most places, their taste profile, they keep the barrels are pretty close. But we can go back to Calumet, and I did ask them this too. So, Calumet, when you look at theirs, it'll tell you 50 barrels a lot. Like this one's a 50 barrel batch, and it doesn't, so it's made a liar out of me. But some of the Calumet, it'll tell you
Good
50,
example.
well, it'll tell you 50 barrels, and it'll tell you 25 12-year-old barrels and 25 5-year-old barrels. And then they have a 5-year-old bourbon. You know what I mean? So that's what some of them do. But I asked them that I said they y'all should do something like that. But of course he's not into the marketing part of it. He's into tours. So I don't think that's going to go anywhere.
I'm sure that you all finished your drinks by now.
So
So go ahead and pour another
pour
one.
another one. Pour another one, guys. This is getting into.
He's talkative this evening, ladies and gents.
Just trying to remember everything
I'm
again.
getting a lot of caramel apple in this.
I do. I do too. And I mentioned that earlier.
Before we get into that, I'm going to do a little bit of talking now. For those of you who haven't tuned in, when we do our tastings, we take everything that we've learned from a bunch of different distilleries and compile them into our own version of doing it. So we'll start out with the nose. We'll try to pull out some flavor profiles from the nose. And then when we actually go into our tasting, we'll do 2 acclimation sips. Of course, I don't imagine this one will need much, being a 91 proof. But we'll do 1 sip. You just want to coat your entire mouth, kind of swish it around like mouthwash just to get all that burn out of the way. Do that again for your second sip. Your third sip is when you try to actually taste and pull out some flavors. And then our fourth sip, even if we don't want to, on this show, we try to put some distiller's water in it, which is just purified water. It doesn't have any impurities. It doesn't add any flavor to the bourbon, but it can change the bourbon profile. So that's the steps that we'll be taking here when we're doing our tasting.
Caramel apple, like you said, and cinnamon red hot candies.
I'm not getting a whole lot of cinnamon. I'm not getting a lot of oakiness out of this either.
No, I get more of the fruity sweetness.
It's very fruity sweet.
Okay.
Like that's about what I'm getting out of the nose. So we're gonna be going for our acclamations now. We'll do 2 acclamations, like I said. Mm.
It's not hot. I like to take mine and put it in there, kind of move it around and get it on the front of my tongue and let it go all the way back.
I don't feel anything. It's like taking a sip of water.
I get a little bit of peppery in there.
No. All right, so I'm. This one doesn't even really need a second acclimation sip for me. If you are a normal higher proof bourbon drinker, you'll probably drink this like water. Uh,
No, you won't.
guys, there ain't no burn in this.
I'm getting a little bit around the side of my tongue and everything else. I
What
mean,
have
if
you
you
eaten today? Is your tongue raw?
no,
Is that why it's burning?
no. That was one thing about Stitzelweller. The bar area, they do offer some food. They only offer about six items on the menu, and they're all a little bit more fancier than I am. They're a little
We
bit
talking
more
fillets?
no, like meat and cheese tray, and then it's got some
Oh,
kind of
what is that called? Charcuterie.
no, it isn't really a charcuterie. Well, but it has a special pepper on it, and then a special fig jam, and gave us some good bread.
Sounds like medieval.
It was cool and it was good, but I had the what was that cheese that we had that was soft, and I don't like that cheese. What is it? It's white on the outside, and the middle is like softy, soft, and it does not have a good cheese texture.
Gorgonzola?
No, it's a fancy
Let's see.
cheese.
Let's go through our cheeses, ladies and gents. We
No,
got
let's get to drinking.
white cheese,
We're on our taste.
provolone, pepper jack, American, mozzarella. It might be brie. Was it in a circle?
Yeah,
But it brie you melted in the oven. This one can you don't.
doesn't matter.
Want a cheddar?
Just the food was a little bit more fancy than that. That was the only thing I really knew what I was going to be eating there, so I went ahead and got that. And it was good. It was real good. The pickles on that thing, Pop's pickles, Pop's sweet and spicy pickles. They're local in Louisville.
Not a sponsor.
They're local in Louisville. They were awesome.
Pops pickles. Sponsor us.
Pop's pickles.
Send us some pickles.
They're good. They're good.
Pops pickles. The pickles that'll
All right.
pucker your
So you're
pothole.
oh,
We're coming up with slogans for 'em and everything. Sponsor us, Pops Pickles.
all right. So
Hashtag Pops Pickles.
let's get back to some taste of
Okay, I've
Baby
done
Bo.
both of my acclamations, so I'm ready to go in for.
I've already had mine. I'll talk while you taste.
Oh, so he's already had tasting. I'm going
Yeah.
for.
So when I get it in there, of course the finish is a little bit. I think the finish lingers a little bit. It's a little dry, especially on the side of my mouth. Uh, I did get a little bit of peppery burn in there. Not a lot. I'm not saying it's like, oh my gosh, I can't handle it. I'm just saying for a 90 proof bourbon, and I am a heavy, higher proof bourbon guy.
We got some stiff ones up there.
I thought it still had a little bit of burn that you did need to get acclimated to. Um, I get the cinnamon hot candy that I smelt. I don't get the caramel, the caramel apple. But I do get a little bit of fruitiness in there too. So I get a cinnamon hot candy and some fruitiness with a dry finish and a little bit of peppery burn.
I'm confused.
You're confused
Yeah,
by it?
I'm very
I
confused.
think it would be easy to be that way. And the group that was in our tasting, there was a lot of different flavor profiles that they tasted that I didn't.
The nose for me was so sweet, but I almost taste beef jerky
Really,
on
see,
the
now I'm
palate.
not getting the savory on there.
Like this tastes like if you get a peppery beef jerky, because I'm getting a lot of like peppercorn flavor in this. Not like spicy burn or anything, but it's like pepper flakes. I'm confused. Where'd the sweetness go?
Well, we got some more. We'll pour it if you can't figure it out.
I mean, I'm not getting any sweetness on the palate. I think this is super savory.
You don't taste cinnamon hot candy at all because that's
No,
like what overwhelms me.
no. I mean, caramel apple was overwhelming on the
I
nose,
thought it had a lot in the smell.
but I'm tasting beef jerky. I just had dinner. I had dinner in a cup.
Did you cleanse your palate well before?
I haven't eaten anything.
Oh, you had dinner in a
I
cup.
had dinner in a
I'm
cup.
sorry, I
Beef
misunderstood.
jerky.
The same.
Yeah, the savory.
All right, well, I'm gonna see if the sweetness comes back out with this water.
All
I'm
right,
kind
well,
of
I
hoping it
put
does.
water in it. It did not change the smell for me. I still smelled the caramel apple uh, the most. So
I'm agreeing with that. It's so sweet on the nose. What happened to my palate?
it's sweet on my palate.
Hmm.
To me, the water did not change that much at all.
It flipped it 180 for me. I literally just
Savory to sweet.
flipped a coin from heads to tails right there. So now I'm getting the sweetness. I get the caramelness. The fruitiness kind of goes away, but then I'm getting like sugary. It's almost like if you were to pair. It's like the green lifesavers.
Is that the apple one?
Yeah, that's almost kind of what like it's not like a fresh apple. It's almost like a concentrated flavor apple. Or like a sour apple drop or something. You all know what you had apple flavored stuff before. Uh, but I'm getting that, and then I'm also still getting the pepperiness just on the back end on the finish. But I'm not getting the drier finish that you are on
With
this.
the water, I didn't get the dry finish,
I didn't get it
but
without the water
I
either.
had the same cinnamon hot candy with the taste. I don't get the caramel apple
The
or
oakiness
the
comes
caramel
through a little
taste in
more with
there.
the water, I
I
think
do
too.
get a little apple.
I think the oakiness comes through more with the water because that was kind of getting lost for me.
I think it's more complicated without water. I think you can sit there and try to.
You could probably pull
There's
out
different
18,000
flavors.
different things, but beef jerky was so overwhelming without the water for me. It was kind of hard to get past.
Yeah.
It's the only thing that, like, my tongue was telling my head beef jerky, and that's all it would do.
Well,
I mean, it's simple yet complex at the same time.
I agree. Like the neat version of it. There was a lot of talk around the table about it. It was most everybody's favorite of what we tried. I can't remember what else we tried. I know we tried an orphan barrel with, but it wasn't a bourbon. It had scotch in it,
Oh,
right? It was mixed with scotch. Yeah.
well,
And then we tried, what was the first one we tried? Oh, we tried the Bullet 10 year. And then,
we don't have to go in depth. We could just say that was majority rule favorite.
it was favorite. Out of four, I think it was the favorite for most everybody, and I thought it was the best too. Uh, and everybody had a different taste that they were getting
I
amongst
think that
that.
this is just one of those that you could pull out almost any flavor that you want it to. I think it's simple if you just want to lock onto that one flavor like I did and can't get off of it, but it's also brain racking if you want to sit there and just really ponder on it.
I think if you put it in there and just laid back and listened to some music or and sipped on it, I think you could pull out a bunch of different flavors.
Laying
So
on the roof looking at the stars.
or we were going to go sit out and look at the rick houses because all the black on them and the way they went up their top. Man, it was an awesome place. I can't get over the grounds there. It was pretty awesome.
All right, I think you rated first last time, so I'm going to go first with mine.
Rated.
All right, so overall rating, if you all haven't tuned into this before, we're basically just going to describe what we thought of the bourbon in general, and then we're each going to rate it on a scale from 1 to 10. Somehow decibels became a thing at one point in this series, and decibels have. I've been using decibels ever since, I
Decimals
think.
rule.
Okay.
Decimals rule.
Anyway, so price. I think that this is very beginner friendly in price. And if a bourbon's beginner friendly, because I know a lot of you are new to bourbon out there, and you haven't been doing it a long time, I always try to take beginner friendly into consideration. That usually bumps up my ranking. But I think the price is pretty beginner friendly. You can get cheaper bourbons out there, but I don't think even at the distillery, $55 is too bad. Um, Especially if you're getting the least aged barrel in here to be 6 years. I think that's pretty decent.
I think so too.
Because you're not really going to get a 6 year bourbon, a good one, for probably less than $55 like this one is. So I think price is good. I think the proofage is very beginner friendly. I didn't get burned literally at all. It was almost like drinking this glass of water for me. But I think that the proofage for anyone, even if you are brand new to bourbon, is very, very control. Like it's very controlled. You're not going to have a hard time drinking this. The flavor wise, without the water, it was super savory for me. Of course, that's all a matter of opinion based on your palate. But it was super savory for me without the water, and the sweetness came through with 4 drops of that distiller's water in that last little bit that I had. I'm a sweet bourbon guy, so I would probably drink this one on the rocks rather than neat, which is kind of odd for me.
For a 90 proof too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of odd for me, but I enjoyed the taste more because when you're getting a 90 proof, I'm not really worried about the burn, feeling the burn and actually feeling the proofage of it. So I'm okay watering this one down a little bit, drinking it on the rocks. Uh, Once again, I am a sweet bourbon kind of guy though, so that just fits me better. But overall, price, beginner friendly, everything considered, 6.5.
Okay. Uh, I like your 6.5. I'm going to see and I'm going to raise you 0.5 because I think it's a 7.
Oh,
So I'll start out
he
saying,
actually ranked one higher than me.
you know, my score is a 7. And I'll agree with Ryan. Of course, the story behind everything makes it a little bit higher for me.
See, that would probably raise
Uh,
mine too, but I was working.
the cool thing, the key, and the cool thing with
I do
that,
like
and you
this.
can actually get something when
I
you
forgot
buy
to mention
these.
this. I'm a fan of bourbon companies that do this.
Uh,
I like the different letters on the Buffalo Trace, and I like that.
That's kind of cool. I like the logo. I think if you didn't have Blade and Bow on there and you just saw this and you knew bourbon, you're gonna know that's Blade and Bow with the keys. Even though,
I don't think there's
uh,
anything else like it.
oh, something about that too is this is the blade, this is the bow on a key. So I didn't know that. I was thinking knife and bow and arrow, and no, it's all about a key, Blade and Bow.
These kind of keys were before our
Uh,
time.
the price. Uh, it's under $60. I think that's a good thing for at least a 6-year-old plus bourbon. So I think that is a good thing. As far as beginner friendly, if you want to pay the $55 for it or whatever, uh, take your sips and get acclimated, and then I think it's fine. I think if you try to take a big gulp of just about any bourbon, 80 proof or anything, it's going to have that heat and fire to you, especially if you're new to bourbon. So just start slow, sip it, get acclimated to it, and then I think it's going to be real fine. I think it's very enjoyable on the palate.
It's
Uh,
very smooth.
it is. And it's only 90 proof, so you're not going to get hammered if you only have one drink or something. Uh,
If that's what
I
you're
like
looking
it.
for, this ain't the bourbon for you.
I like it. So I am gonna go above you a little bit and go
I
with
think that's
a
the first
7.
time ever on the Bourbon
It's
Basement
not
that
the
he's
first time
ranked one
ever.
higher than me. I swear it is. In just a basic tasting review like this, I think that's the one time that you've ever ranked higher than me.
Yeah, I like it. It's pretty good.
There you have it,
There
folks.
you go. I think
Uh,
it's pretty good.
Pretty as far as the
Steve
tasting.
said it's good.
Steve approved. Where's our stamp? We need to get a stamp.
You take
Bourbon
this and
Basement
some
approved.
Pops pickles, and we'll have a night. Just Pops pickles and this.
Sponsor us, Pops. We need help. Uh, but that, I mean, short, sweet, and to the point as far as the tasting goes this
Yeah,
evening.
I
The
think so
rest of the
too.
time was spent on history, and
Sorry,
it's basically just a long story time because that's basically
but
what you experienced today.
yeah, that is my experience today, and I mean that's kind of what our show is. It's a little bit of history and a little bit of bourbon, and
A
so
lot of fun.
I hope everybody likes that. And if you want something different, you can go to the videos or the shorts because they'll be different. There probably won't be any
More fast
history.
paced.
It's a little bit different. So if you want history and stuff like that, come to our live shows or watch the old live shows.
No, they don't come here for that. They come here to hang out with us.
Well, I hope so. I mean, that's what we get them here, but they can still hang out with us watching a video. I mean, it's kind of like we're live, especially when we don't edit any.
Sorry, I forgot to. If you all watched that video, I forgot to cut out that part. I edited the rest of the video and then forgot to delete that part that I edited out. That was like,
Oh,
that had
that's
to be at
good.
least 7,
Well,
8
I was
minutes.
wondering why it was so long. The show was so long.
Yeah, that was a tough one. That was
Because
a
you
oops.
had narrowed them down to from like 45 minutes to 30 on our tasting show, our
I am a self-taught editor. Give me a break.
and then this one was 42 minutes. I said, man, that was a long show. And it's because we talk about where we're going to cut and edit on the show. It's so,
See,
I like it. I don't care.
psych. We
So
faked you out.
that one we could actually put live on because it was pretty much a live show.
I cut the pores and the six. Self-taught editor. Give me a break.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up.
We got a professional grade show going here. I think I've done pretty good considering. We're getting there, guys. No technical difficulties today, though.
That we know of.
Well, everything seems
It
good.
probably won't post. It probably just freeze and never download.
Little did we know, we haven't been live the whole time. I forgot to press go live. No. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that, though. Like we said, short, sweet, and to the point as far as the bourbon goes. If you have the opportunity to get it, I suggest that you do. I think that it's a very good bourbon to, even for mid-grade bourbon drinkers. I don't think that this is a bad drink at all. I could see myself sitting up next to a fire with it, with a cigar or something in my hand, and having a grand old time.
A lot of history at the distillery.
A lot of history at the distillery. So if you had the opportunity to do that and find yourself in Louisville, I suggest that you do that as well. I'll probably have to make my way up there myself, considering I didn't get to go. Anywho, but hopefully y'all did enjoy that. If you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see in our future live streams or any kind of videos that you'd like to see, drop them in the comment section of this video or any of our other videos, because we do see the notifications pop up that someone has commented on it, and we do our best to reply to all of them. I think that's it. You got anything else for them?
I think I've talked enough. I think you've convinced me I've talked enough.
This is a yapping episode, baby. Yapping. All right, guys. So all that being said, thank you once again for bearing with us. Those of you who did tune in for the 30-minute late start, that more than likely will not happen very often.
Good job, though. Good job getting the message out.
Well, hopefully everyone saw it. But hopefully that won't happen very often. We are usually live. Probably 99.9% of the time we're live at Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have the opportunity to tune in, we suggest that you do, and we welcome you to, because we enjoy having y'all here as much as you enjoy watching us sit up here and make fools of ourselves. So it's always a fun time here on the Bourbon Basement. All that being said, guys, why drink alone?
When you can drink with us.
We'll see y'all Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Not late.
That's right. Hey, come give me a hug. All right, I'll take another warm Kentucky hug, man. So good. Cheers.